From my very childhood, I was really in love with sports, and I have tried many different sports, but somehow I chose athletics to be my main one, and I trained athletics for quite a few years through my teenage, and I was quite successful middle distance runner. And then unfortunately it happened that I have injured my Achilles tendon when I was in the peak of my running career, and I had to quit running because it just wouldn't heal. And it was kind of a difficult time for me because that meant a lot to me, sports, and not being able to practice. It was I was really shaken. And then when something very beautiful happened, I was very fortunate to have met a great spiritual teacher, Sri Chinmoy, who is teaching meditation, and who also teach meditation many great sportsmen around the world, such as Carl Lewis, Tatiana Lebedeva, and many others. And then I was really interested to study more about the subject of meditation, because it was completely unknown to me, and before that I was not interested in it. And as I studied meditation, I started practicing sports again, because my spiritual teacher, Sri Chinmoy, recommended that sports to be an important part of a spiritual discipline, as it helps us to transcend some parts of our beings that are not so easy to transcend. Soon I started running again, and in a very short time, perhaps in 2 years after, I started running marathons. If I would have thought of being a marathoner when I was a teenager, middle distance runners, I would have thought that whoever is running marathon is a crazy person, because who wants to run such a long distance? However, by meditating, you find more patience and inner peace in yourself, and running a long distance it's very close to your meditation in silence, because you can quiet your mind. You're in dynamic mode, but being peaceful inside and then dynamic outside, it's one very nice combination. So the first marathon was, I don't remember, it was with very little training, but it was about close to 4 hours. And in the course of next couple of years, I managed to go down to 2 hours and 41 minutes in the New York City Marathon in 1998. But I wanted to try myself in a longer distances, so I got involved in ultra running, like 47 miles, 12 hours, 24 hours, and eventually ended up running the multi-day races, 700 miles and a 1,000-mile race, which I completed in a little bit less than 15 days. For those who are not familiar with multi-day running, you are on a truck and you have any time you want to stay on the truck during the day. And usually I was running for about 20 hours a day, about more than 60 miles, around 110 kilometers, in order to complete 1,000-mile race, which is 1,600 kilometers in less than 15 days. At one point I had Achilles injury, and I couldn't do running at the same level, so I was looking for some new adventures. I always wanted to expand my horizons and to try something new, and since running was not option in that time of my life, I was looking around what is available that is fulfilling, and since I was at that time living in Switzerland, there are many beautiful mountains around, and it's in their culture to respect nature and to live in great oneness with them and to spend a lot of time in mountains. So I joined the Swiss Alpine Club and started training for rock climbing first, and learning how to secure myself to stay safe in mountains. And only after 4 months of training, I climbed one of the highest mountains in Switzerland, which is called Matterhorn. For those who are in climbing world, they know what I'm talking about. And those who don't know, they probably know the chocolate from Switzerland. It's called Toblerone, and that mountain, it's on it. It's quite steep mountain. It's not so easy to climb. And 1 week after that, I climbed Monte Rosso or the Vorspitze, which is the highest mountain in Switzerland and the second highest in Alps. I was very fond of climbing. However, I had to change my place of living. I went back to Serbia, where I'm born, and there were no more high mountains around. So I had to invent something else. I wanted to challenge myself in some other way since I had to remain in this area and there are no mountains. Many of my friends from Sri Chinmoy marathon team have swam the channel, English Channel, and in fact we hold a world record in the biggest number of crossing of the channel. I think it is over 43 if I remember to this point. So many of them inspired me to think about it, and 1 year I thought, hey, why not? However, I couldn't handle the cold so much, so I have to train myself to handle very cold water, which is around 15 or 16 degrees. Swimming channel, of course, is not an easy thing. There are 3 times less people who swim English Channel than who climb Mount Everest. And this is precisely because this is a really big challenge, not only physically, but also mentally. There are big waves, cold water, as I said, which results in hypothermia. So you really have to prepare yourself not only physically, but also mentally. And since I've been meditating at that time for many, many years, I was able to use inner potentials that we all have inside ourselves to gain a free access to our inner beings, or some people might even call it a soul, which is very helpful when you're doing extreme sports, because then you can use potentials that don't depend on your physical strength and the training, but also something that goes beyond the body. Just would be very important to mention that I was never swimming in my life. So I never trained swimming. I was swimming in the sea when I went for vacation, like most of us, but I was actually not a very good swimmer. And I decided to ask some better coaches in my city to coach me how to swim properly, because swimming it's all about technique. It has very little to do with physical strength. And when I told them what I want to do, they said, "You're crazy. Don't you know that?" And no one in our country has ever done it. This is usually the peak of the swimming career of the professional. You are a complete amateur. You have never trained swimming. What do you imagine? How can you do that? But since I learned from my spiritual teacher that there is no such thing as impossibility, so I was inspired to continue, and I trained. I booked boat, and I had 10 months to prepare for swimming. And I made many mistakes during that time because I didn't have knowledge of proper training, so I even got injured my shoulder. I got even slower than I was when I started training, but I didn't give up. And in August 2010, I attempted channel swimming, and I was successfully crossed the channel in 19 hours and 31 minutes. And I was first citizen of Republic of Serbia who has ever done channel swimming successfully. There were many unsuccessful attempts before that. But when I crossed the English Channel I started in England and finished in France. When I reached the French shore, I clearly felt that I have much more energy left in me, and that this is not end of my capacities. My inner potentials are telling me that I can go on and do more than just channel swimming. And then I thought, after that, what would be a next step? What would be the next thing I would like to do? And channel triathlon was something that came up. There are very, very few people in the world who have tried channel triathlon. And the greatest distance till that moment was swimming the channel biking for 300 kilometers and running 2 marathons. So I got inspiration to try to break this, the world's longest channel triathlon. And I have set the distance to start from Dover and to finish in beautiful city of Heidelberg in Germany. I thought it will be about 540k, but eventually it ended up, because of the change of the route during the event, to be 580 kilometers of biking after channel swimming and another running of 3 marathons, which is 127 kilometers in total. There are 3 parts in this event. Channel swimming was known to me, and this time I completed distance of about 35 kilometers in 18 hours and 41 minutes, which was about 45 minutes faster than my previous record. And then I went for a short break. I had about 4.5 hours of sleep, and I needed a little bit more time to prepare for biking, to put all the equipment together and so on. So leaving from Calais in Dover, I was biking through France, Belgium, Netherlands, and eventually finished the route of 580 kilometers in Mainz, in the western part of Germany. During the biking time, it took me 2.5 days. I was biking for about 20 to 21 hours every day. So I was able to do about 230 kilometers a day. Running, which naturally should have been the easiest part for me, since I've been running since my very young age, ended up to actually be the most difficult part. And one of the reasons is actually that, as you might see, I have a huge body. I have around 100 kilos, and this is because you need protection from very cold water. And gaining some extra weight, I had to gain about 20 kilos. It's very good protection. If you're very, very fast elite swimmer, you're generating huge amount of energy while you are swimming, so it's warming up your body. But if you are not a professional, if you're amateur like me, then you're naturally more slower swimmer, and you need more weight, more fat around your inner organs to remain alive. This big weight that was very helpful for swimming was a great burden for running, so it took me more than 30 hours to do 127 kilometers, and I completed the whole event in 5 days, 6 hours and 17 minutes. Training that I have done was mostly swimming. I had a serious injury and could start training only 6 months prior to the event, so I didn't really have enough time to prepare well. So mostly channel swimming, because that was the most challenging part, and I have very, very few biking and running trainings. However, as I said before, since I've been meditating since 24 years now, I was really well trained in how to use the inner capacities that we all have, and that I clearly, I would really strongly recommend anyone who is in sports to try to learn how to use these capacities, because potential of the body is very limited, but the potential of our inner being, of our soul, is limitless. So the help we can get from there is tremendous. I would try to transcend myself in some way, although it's quite difficult when you're already doing something so extreme. There are 2 things that come up to my mind. I like mountain climbing. The highest mountain I climb is 6,000 meters in Peru, and I would love to climb Mount Everest. I would need a little bit more training and preparation for that, and of course a lot of money. And there is one more thing I will try try to do, it's a double crossing of the channel, meaning going from England to France and from France back to England. But there is a great challenge because of this cold water, how long your body can stay in it. So I will first have to gain very good speed in swimming. So it will take me at least about 2 more years to learn better swimming in order to be faster in crossing one way, and then I'll probably attempt to cross both ways.